Welcome back, everybody, to a brand new episode here of Inside the Dome. I'm John Dodaro. It is just me for this episode, and this is almost essentially turning into a weekly follow-up on the WWE side of things, because right now in the sport world, the most interesting thing happening right now, aside from NFL free agency, is probably Wrestlemania season with the WWE. It is technically the most exciting time to be a wrestling fan. Is that really true? I don't know with what's going on right now, but typically this is the most exciting time of the year to be a wrestling fan. So this is usually the most newsworthy stuff to talk about. This is usually the most interesting parts of our weekly Under the Lights episodes to talk about, which will be starting up next week again. So I can't wait for those. But in the meantime, while we are still on our little hiatus, this has been the main topic of discussion we have been having, aside from NFL free agency, which I just did a live stream on yesterday. Check that out. But this has been another main thing, and Monday Night Raw just happened this past Monday, and it is worth talking about because I wouldn't say a lot happened, and that's kind of what I want to talk about, but some stuff happened. Some stuff I liked, some stuff I really didn't like, and a lot of questions I have going into WrestleMania. So if you are a wrestling fan, or if you are starting to get into wrestling, or maybe you want to get into wrestling, this is the right thing to listen to, because I will guide you through what's been happening, what I've liked and what I have not liked. So just me for this episode, and we'll get right into it with Monday Night Raw. What happened in Monday Night Raw? Well, the show started off really weirdly, I would say. It started with Seth Rollins and the Masked Men. Now, last week, it was awesome. It was absolute cinema with Seth Rollins. He comes out. Well, first the Masked Men come out, and they essentially get rid of Logan Paul and Austin Theory and all the security guards, and Seth Rollins comes in, and he hits Paul Heyman with the chair and hits him with a stomp, writing him off TV. It was awesome. It was great stuff, and I was expecting the follow-up this week, where Seth would maybe talk about what's been going on and what his goals are and all that, what he wants to accomplish in the WrestleMania season, anything like that, or even what me and Ryan were talking about last week. We mentioned that since Roman Reigns is not on TV this week, maybe you can address the elephant in the room with CM Punk holding Seth Rollins' World Heavyweight Championship. Maybe you can have a segment between the two of them and potentially address that. Well, we didn't get that. We did get something good with CM Punk, but we didn't get anything good with Seth Rollins, because this week, essentially what happened was Seth Rollins came out with 20 masked men, I would say, at least a dozen masked men. And then they all come in, the crowd's chanting like, holy shit at this. Did it really warrant that? Not really. But they're chanting that. And all of a sudden, 10 of them go into the ring. And they're playing the shuffling game. They're shuffling around like you're at a sports event and you're watching the 3 cups being shuffled around and you're guessing which cup the ball is in. We're playing that game, and then all of a sudden Seth Rollins comes out in the middle. I'm like, why did they do that there? At least I kind of get it the second time they did it, but why did they do it the first time? I don't know. But Seth unmasks himself, just stands there menacingly. Adam Pearce is like, Seth, you're not cleared, and if you go to this war with the Vision, you might get hurt. Well, first off, the Vision is literally only Logan Paul and Austin Theory, and they are not menacing at all right now. So I don't know how Seth Rollins is going to get hurt, but he probably means Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, who Braun Breaker could be back. But then all of a sudden, Seth says nothing. Then Logan Paul and Austin Theory come out, and they're like, Seth, we're going to beat you up. There's a bullet with your name on it, blah, blah, blah. And then you would think, with a dozen masked men and Seth Rollins, they could easily take on Logan Paul and Austin Theory. They could just storm the two of them and beat him up. No, they play the shuffle game again, and then they all bail. I bet you a writer in that creative room probably wrote that down and thought, this is going to look so sick. And then it didn't. It was just weird. Seth Rollins is one of your top stars. and we are in WrestleMania season and we're playing Shuffle with masked men. Like, what are we doing? I don't know what Seth Rollins is going to do at WrestleMania. I really don't, but this was just such a waste of time. I don't know if they're waiting for Braun Breaker to come back. I don't know if they're waiting for Brock Lesnar to come back to start anything meaningful with Seth Rollins. I don't know what the plan is, but the problem is right now is there doesn't feel like there's a lack of urgency for your biggest show of the year. This is WrestleMania we're talking about, and you are doing this at the moment. Like, this whole segment is just no urgency at all. None. Absolutely no urgency. So I don't know what the plan was with this segment, but it failed. We'll talk about Seth a little bit later, because after I go through Raw, I'm going to discuss the Mania card too and what it looks like. But then Logan and Austin come in, whatever, and then LA Knight comes out, beats him up a little bit. Then the Usos come out and beat him up even more. And that's it. We don't get like a match or anything later in the show, nothing like that. That's it. That's it for Logan Paul and Austin Theory. They look terrible right now. So I don't know what the plan is, but you would think if they want to try to keep the vision a little bit strong, that maybe they can look a bit strong. Instead, they've been looking terrible for the past couple of weeks. It feels like Logan Paul's stock is going down by the drain. I don't know. Like, you could easily be building up Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul right now. Instead, you're making Logan Paul look like a fool. So they'll probably be fighting the Usos, but we'll talk about that later. And who knows who LA Knight's going to fight. Like I said, we'll get to that later with Mania, because there are a lot of question marks with WrestleMania right now. But that was the opening segment. That was like a giant waste of time, and I swear to God, if we do that next week, if Seth Rollins does not speak next week, we have problems. After that, that wasn't very good. It was very lackluster. Then we had the gauntlet match between Bayley, Asuka, Ivy Nile, Io Sky, Raquel Rodriguez, Lyra Valkyria. And it started nice, I guess, with Lyra Valkyria losing. I feel bad for Lyra Valkyria. I mean, I saw one thing online. She has not had an in-ring promo since that one awkward promo with her shoes and Becky. And that was before SummerSlam. I think she should turn heel, and I think the little segment she had with Bayley backstage could lead to a heel turn. It did wonders for Becky Lynch. It could do wonders for Lyra Valkyria. So hopefully she turns heel soon. Then Raquel Rodriguez came out, and Liv Morgan came out to distract. Stephanie Vaquer came out to distract. And then Io pinned Raquel. Then Raquel beat up Io, and Io was out by Ivy Nile. Ivy Nile, can't believe she's still wrestling. And then Bayley came out and beat Nile, and then she beat Asuka. Kairi Sane was out there too. So we got Bayley versus AJ Lee next week. Could be fun. It could be a fun match. It's probably short term, because I think they're going to run back AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. Maybe a stipulation, I don't know, but that seems to be the long-term Mania build. I don't see anyone else being added to that match. I think AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch is big enough in its own way, so I don't see much changing there. But it should be a fun little tune-up match for AJ Lee. She needs some reps, so it'll be good to see. Then there was like a backstage thing with the Usos, and they said they would address Punk later. We'll get to that. What else happened? Intercontinental Championship, Penta. Great speech by Penta. I like it. I don't know what he's going to do at Mania. I really have no clue what he's going to do at WrestleMania. And this week had no indication as to what he is going to do at WrestleMania, because he fought El Grande Americano, the new El Grande Americano. The original El Grande Americano got cursed by Danhausen. The curse is 2 for 2 right now. First, Dom lost his belt, and then OG Grande got beat up before his match could even happen. So the Danhausen curse, I've loved Danhausen since the box debacle ended. I think Danhausen has been a pleasant surprise. But The Curse lives, and I think Danhausen came out during a commercial break that I could not watch, and he threw merch into the crowd. But the crowd's loving him, so that's great to see. Have him curse Roman Reigns next. The match was good, though. Great Mexican Destroyer from Penta. After that, they did announce that El Grande versus El Grande will happen next week. That honestly could be a WrestleMania match between the two Grandes, and the loser has to unmask. I won't lie, I would not mind seeing it at WrestleMania if they do it. I think it could be fun. I bet the OG El Grande would be unmasked. I wonder who he is under the mask. Not very lucha libre to unmask luchadors, but that seems to be the story we're getting at. I love Penta, though. I hope they give Penta something worthwhile to do at WrestleMania. I really hope they give him something worthwhile because he is fantastic. This title win was long overdue, and hopefully he gets something worthwhile, and hopefully he retains a little bit. He doesn't even have a long reign, but at least through Mania, I would say. They did a video package for Stephanie Vaquer and whatever. I don't know. It was very generic. Then we had Judgment Day drama, where this was probably some years in the making for Finn Balor to finally turn babyface and leave the Judgment Day. Dom came out with the two women of the Judgment Day, Liv and Raquel, called out Finn, blamed Finn for the loss. Finn came out with JD. He told Finn that he spent years trying to protect him, but sometimes one has to learn how to fight one's own battles, saying that Dom has to learn how to win battles on his own. He then said maybe Rey Mysterio was right about his son, that he was a spoiled little punk. So I think he said something different. It got bleeped out on Netflix. That earned him a cheap shot from Dirty Dom. Dom shoved him, but then Finn Pele kicked him. And then no one else was attacking Finn right away, like Liv Morgan wasn't. But then JD McDonough was the one hit the clothesline. Then all four of them attacked Finn and beat him up severely. So that seems to be the direction for WrestleMania's Finn versus Dom without the belt on the line. Loved it. Loved it. It was long overdue for Finn Balor to finally turn babyface and leave the Judgment Day. This was a long time coming, in my opinion. But I hope we get the Demon at Mania. It would be a great time to bring it back and to legitimize Finn Balor again as a singles threat. And then maybe post-Mania he can go for the IC title. I wouldn't mind it, though. I wouldn't mind the Demon coming back. I wonder what this means for the future of the Judgment Day, whether it's a 4-man gang. Maybe Roxanne comes back and she's still on board with everything. But I liked it. It was all good. And I'm intrigued to see where it goes next. I think the Dom Finn feud could be fun. There were some tweets online. It was kind of funny. Damian Priest put out a tweet saying, like, it's not fun, is it? And then JD McDonough said, ask Edge. And then Dominic Mysterio corrected him and said Adam Copeland. It was a funny Twitter exchange. So, and then JD put out something too more legit, saying like, there's no leaders and you were trying to act like a leader and you weren't acting the way. Judgment Day is family and you are not family anymore. It'll be interesting a JD McDonough and Finn Balor fight because there is history between the two of them. Finn Balor was his mentor. So there is something interesting there with JD McDonough and Finn Balor. I don't know if they're going to address it really, but it is interesting to say the least. Finn versus Dom should be fun though at Mania. Maybe we get the Demon back. I liked it. I liked everything that had to deal with the Judgment Day breakup. This was good stuff. This is what we want to see in WrestleMania season. We don't want to see the masked man shuffle in the middle of the ring. We want to see drama like this leading to WrestleMania matches. Like the opening segment had nothing to do with WrestleMania. We built to nothing. This is building to something. I like this. We need more of this. And the main event was also good too, which we will get to. What else happened? Like this feud could be really hot for WrestleMania. I hope it delivers. And I hope we get the Demon too. Then we got Obafemi versus Rusev. So this is Obafemi's pretty much first big test because he did fight Johnny Gargano, who's probably the best NXT wrestler of all time, though they are making him a joke, and it's probably only a matter of time until he's in AEW with Tommaso Ciampa. But I digress. Obafemi is going to fight Rusev. I thought this was going to be fun. Instead, it was pretty quick. And it's a bit of a shame for Rusev. They brought him back last year. He won a feud with Sheamus to legitimize himself a little bit. And since then, he lost the IC title opportunity. And then he jobbed in the Royal Rumble, got eliminated in 30 seconds, and lost to Obafemi in 5 minutes. It seems like they have no faith in Rusev. They have nothing they want to do with him. So it is kind of unfortunate. It is just the nature of the business, but you could have at least given these two a 10-minute match. Maybe they'll do that later, but there's really no claim for Rusev to even get a rematch. I thought they could have maybe had a longer match. This was pretty quick, but it does show that Obafemi is dominant. I don't know. He should be utilized a little bit more. Let's just say that. If you remember, last year, 2 years ago, they would have these big men matches with Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed, Jacob Fatu, and Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman was fantastic and just putting over other big guys. You could be doing that with Rusev. And Braun Strowman was having legit matches, not 5-minute squashes. Rusev, at the minimum, could be that guy who just does his matches, puts people over, but puts on good showings. You could be having that. Instead, you had a 5-minute whatever burger that was. But hopefully, Obafemi is stride for bigger things. We'll get to that when we discuss Mania, though. CM Punk promo ended the show. I don't think I missed anything else on Monday Night Raw that was relevant. This was great because I've had a lot of problems with the CM Punk Roman Reigns build on the YouTube channel specifically. There is an episode called Why CM Punk versus Roman Reigns is Not Working Yet. I still stay true to some of those things I said in that episode. And last week we discussed it even further and how I wasn't the biggest fan of last week's promo. I thought the Sika line was out of nowhere. I thought Roman's exchange was it was good, but nothing special. I thought his first promo was better. And I thought Roman's gotta show up and get revenge after Punk disrespected his father, you would think, but Roman's not on TV this week. And on his socials, he's posting merchandise for watches and shoes. Come on here. Let's keep some kayfabe alive. I don't know, but seems like Roman has no urgency to address CM Punk, and Punk capitalized on that completely in this promo. I thought one thing that could have worked so well here that didn't happen, it was a missed opportunity. Think of the peak of WrestleMania 40. The best segment in the main event build was probably The Rock having an unadvertised appearance on Monday Night Raw and brutally attacking Cody Rhodes in the parking lot. It was unadvertised. The Rock was not scheduled to appear on Monday Night Raw. He was scheduled to appear on the following Raw. But he showed up unannounced, and it was a fantastic episode of Monday Night Raw because of it. You could have easily had CM Punk do his promo here, and then out of nowhere, Roman Reigns comes out. Punk is oh shit, type of thing. And because it would make sense in the story for Roman Reigns to show up unannounced. Punk called out his father, and Punk saying Roman, if he cared dearly, he would show up here and confront me face to face. That would have been a perfect moment for Roman Reigns to come out unannounced, shock the whole crowd, and brutally beat up CM Punk. But we didn't get that because Roman Reigns is a part-timer who, kayfabe-wise, does not care at all about what is happening. But this still worked. Mainly because CM Punk is incredible. This was Punk's best promo in the whole feud. Because it is all good when everything matters. When certain elements are brought up that don't typically be brought up. And Punk essentially called out almost the plot holes in Roman Reigns' character. Things that haven't been addressed. The big thing is that Roman Reigns never apologized for the torment he put Jey Uso through during the pandemic era. He never apologized. Sure, Roman said yeet, and he was doing some yeeting, but Roman Reigns never apologized for anything he did during his title reign. For the heelish acts that he did, he never apologized to Sami Zayn for what he put Sami through. He never apologized to Cody Rhodes for calling his dad irrelevant, and Punk brought it up. If you forget what that was, during the press conference at Mania 40, Roman said to Cody, "You're irrelevant, just like your dad." And then that prompted Cody to say the line of how Roman's ancestors, his father and grandfather, would be ashamed of him, and that's what prompted The Rock to get into the feud. But it all started with Roman Reigns disrespecting Cody Rhodes' father. Roman's never apologized for that. He's never made amends. Like, he's pretty much still been the same character, other than he embraces the crowd now. And he's a little bit nicer to his cousins. But even then, at Crown Jewel, when he lost to Bronson Reed, Roman had a whole fit, like, I don't want to see either of you Usos until Christmas. Like, he's still not very friendly. He's still the same evil tribal chief that we've known before. And Punk called him out on it. Like, why do I have to apologize when Roman Reigns has never apologized to anything? And he said that directly to the Usos, because the Usos should be the ones demanding an apology from Roman Reigns. They tried to during the Bloodline reunion, but they never got it. And weirdly, like, they all still teamed up. But it didn't lead to any full-time reunion, so maybe that was enough. But, like, the Usos are kind of like hypocrites. Like, they're asking Punk for an apology, but they never asked their own cousin to truly apologize for what he did. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Mentioning the Dusty Rhodes thing. Completely smart to do, because Roman Reigns has never apologized for it. There was more that he mentioned. The Usos were great in this. I mean, Jay, little cartoonish, like, apologize. Like, you better apologize right now, CM Punk. This has nothing to do with Roman. I love Jimmy, though, because Jimmy scaled him back. Jimmy was like, we're cool. Like, we're good. We don't got a problem with you, but you do need to apologize. I liked it. And I think there is a really interesting story here if they go that route, to where if the Usos want to be involved in the story, hopefully they're not involved in the match, but if they're involved in the story, I think there could be something where maybe Jimmy is thinking, like, Punk is right. And Jay, if we remember last year, what they were starting to build with Jay was starting to turn into Roman Reigns a little bit. And then we kind of abandoned that. It'd be a great time to bring that back up. Maybe Jay brings back the Roman Reigns temperament, while Jimmy is realizing CM Punk's not wrong. CM Punk also isn't right to say what he did about Sika, but CM Punk is also not wrong in everything he just said. So maybe Jimmy starts to turn a little bit, and maybe we get some dissension within the Usos, and maybe Jimmy calls out Roman Reigns. I think this could all be compelling. I really think it could be. Now, the boring thing that would happen would be there is no conflict within the Usos, and the Usos and Roman just all beat up CM Punk. That would be the boring way to do it. But I think showing some concern from Jimmy would be legitimate. I think it would add more. We could get some Bloodline cinema again, where Jay is the hothead and he is trying to be like Roman Reigns, which has its flaws, which CM Punk made evident, while Jimmy is realizing, like, you know what, you are kind of right. And I mean, the lines of, like, Roman should be here right now, the crowd start chanting OTC, and he's like, I don't think he's coming, guys. But I love the ending line too. He said that, like, if Roman cared enough about the Usos, if he cared enough about the crowd, if he cared enough about what Punk even said, Roman would be there right now talking to him instead of the young boys, the Usos. And I mean, that was just such a great nail in the coffin. And that if Roman Reigns wanted to have any integrity, he would have came out right then and there, but he didn't. So Punk destroyed him. Punk essentially, it's going to be hard for Roman Reigns to come back from this in terms of winning the war of words right now, because I think Punk is up right now by a lot. I think Punk really is, because Roman Reigns can say whatever he wants, that like he's on top of the world and all that, and I'm going to send you on a retirement run, and you're going to build up the new stars so I can smash them. We brought you here just to entertain the virgins, but you're not supposed to be champion. Roman can say all that, but Roman Reigns has not won a title since. He also hasn't won a singles match since he beat Solo Sikoa. So Roman doesn't have a lot of talking to do. Punk cooked him here. So it'll be interesting next week when Roman is on TV, what's going to happen. And I think it will either be two things. Either one, Roman just beats up CM Punk for what he said. Or two, there's another promo battle. It could be lame where Roman just brings up the dog Larry and like, I'm going to bury you next to Larry. He could say that and the crowd will probably go crazy, but that would be the lame thing to do. I mean, if you're Roman Reigns, you got like the best promo of your life because Punk called you out on so much stuff. You didn't show up last week after Punk insulted your dad. Like, you didn't even bother showing up. You're not injured. You're promoting your watch and your shoes on your Instagram. So, like, you got to show up. So, you got to justify not showing up. I think you got to do it. Roman has to have his best promo at some point to turn everything back on CM Punk, which is possible. There is a lot of meat on the bone in this rivalry. There really is. I mean, Punk could even go into Roman Reigns as the big dog, which he did allude to a little bit last year. Like, Punk can still attack Roman for so much. Roman can mention AEW if he wants to. Like, the gloves should be off. Not in terms of, I'm going to bury you next to Larry. It should be looking back at AEW days. Like, you failed there. You had people fooled for a little bit, and then look what happened. You got into a fight with Jack Perry. Look what happened there. Like, you can't be trusted at all. Like, the gloves should be off for Roman Reigns. Like, there's a lot of meat on the bone. Roman needs to also defend his part-time schedule too, because it's kind of insane how he disappears for all of February, comes back, Punk insults his dad, and he's not even there the next week. Like, come on, Roman. I think with this match, this is going to segue into my Mania thoughts. I think Punk has to win. Has to. Because there's no story if Roman wins. There's nothing. If Roman wins, he's just a champion again. And Punk had a great line too. The World Heavyweight Championship, that specific title was made because Roman Reigns was not defending his title. They literally had to make a new title because Roman Reigns wasn't defending his. That year where they made the World Heavyweight Championship, Roman Reigns had 3 title defenses the whole year, and all 3 of them were not good. So, and that's not counting the Cody main event. I love that line. But if Roman wins, what happens next? Roman's just a champ. Punk, I mean, he doesn't need to be a champion at this point. Like, he'll just go back to doing whatever he's doing. It's like, too bad, whatever. I'm 47. Okay, I'm at the end of my career. Roman's just a champ. Aha, I'm the champ. Let's go. I'm going to disappear for a month. I'll see you in the following PLE. Like, that's about it. So, I don't know what story there is if Roman Reigns wins. That just seems like we need views. Roman Reigns as a champion gets us views. That's it. There's nothing special unless you're going to immediately start building to Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins, which could be a SummerSlam match. I just think if Punk retains against Roman cleanly, there's a lot you can go with that. I mean, first off, Punk is a great champion, and his reign is just starting to cook. I would love to see him as champion going further, and I think there's just a lot of upside with CM Punk as the champion. I think there's still more stories to tell, more title defenses for Punk to have consistently, too. He's the fighting champion, where Roman Reigns can go on a really interesting story arc with a loss. Because if Roman loses to Punk, he's lost 3 straight main events at WrestleMania. Like, he lost to Bronson Reed, he lost to CM Punk. You can go on a storyline where Roman Reigns realizes, maybe I'm not the same guy I once was. Like, Roman goes around like everything should matter. Roman said on the Pat McAfee show, like, no one's been able to be like me, step up in my shoes while I was gone, so I'm here to take everything back. Like, he thinks that he is above everyone else. He degrades CM Punk. He is like, you shouldn't be a champion. You're just here to sell some shirts and sell out Chicago. Like, he devalues CM Punk. Like, his part-time schedule, he thinks that he is like the top guy. He's the top star. So he doesn't need to be there all the time. If he loses to CM Punk, you can start a story where he realizes, maybe I'm not that guy anymore. Maybe, like, something's changed. And maybe that sends him on a storyline where he has to actually apologize for the mistakes he's made with the Usos. Maybe he has to go on a redemption tour, because obviously he's not redeemed in any way. Like, he's barely redeemed himself. But maybe he has to go on a story arc where he has to make amends for what he's done during his tribal chief days. He has to change. He has to evolve. He almost has to become the big dog again in terms of being able to win on his own, because when you look at Roman Reigns and why he was so successful, it was because simply he had the Usos to interfere. He had Paul Heyman to interfere. He had Solo Sikoa to interfere. If you look at all of his title defenses, the majority of them had some form of interference. So maybe Roman Reigns realizes, like, I can't have that anymore. Like, it makes sense for him to lose because the Usos ideally won't be in his corner. Paul Heyman won't be in his corner. Like, he needs to be humbled. He needs to realize, like, maybe I wasn't that good even back then because I had all the help. So maybe I need to find that old bit of me that was able to win on my own. I think you could tell a really good story with Roman Reigns if he loses. If he wins, there's nothing. Like, Roman's essentially is just right about everything if he wins. If he wins, like, he'll continue to act the same way. Like, there's nothing intriguing. Roman won't ever change. He won't ever have to apologize if he beats CM Punk, because essentially him winning just proves that everything that he's been doing is right. So I think that needs to be addressed at some point. And I think Punk winning would help address that. And I love that Punk kind of exposed Roman Reigns a little bit in this promo. So let's talk about WrestleMania a little bit and what we got so far. So I wrote it down. I have an entire list of matches and a list of potential matches, as well as people that are not on the card, potentially might not even be on the card. We only have 4 confirmed matches for WrestleMania. CM Punk versus Roman Reigns, Stephanie Vaquer versus Liv Morgan, Jade Cargill versus Rhea Ripley, and now Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. Now, I have yet to talk about what I thought about Cody Rhodes beating Drew McIntyre. I like it. Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton is good. The only problem I have is that, I mean, they're obviously, this was not the plan from the get-go. This, like, after Cody won the belt back at SummerSlam, I could tell you this was never the plan. Everything that happened was not planned. I bet Cody was never even meant to lose the title, but they decided to pivot to just give Drew the reign to shake things up a little bit. But I think Cody Rhodes was always supposed to be a champion at WrestleMania. If that was always the plan, sure. The only thing I would have done differently is I would have given Drew the title at WrestlePalooza so he could have had a longer reign instead of giving it to him on the first Raw or the first SmackDown of 2026. That would have been the only thing I would have changed, was just giving Drew a longer reign. And Cody could have won the belt back at the Chamber or something like that, or at the Rumble. I don't know. I would have given Drew the title earlier, because you gave it to him so late to where he only had one defense and then he lost it. Because at that point, with the time that they gave Drew the belt, I thought he would be walking in as champion at that point, and I thought we'd be getting Drew, Cody, Jacob triple threat, or even Drew, Cody, Jacob, Randy as a fatal four-way. We're not getting either of those. We're probably going to get Drew versus Jacob. Hopefully they reveal who attacked Jacob, because I still don't think it was Drew. Drew also, I think, is filming a movie after Mania, so he'll probably lose to Jacob Fatu to be written off a little bit. But I don't know. I don't hate Cody winning the belt back. I think there's a lot of unpredictability with Cody Randy, which we're not going to predict that now. We'll probably predict that with Carlin when he's on with me. But I don't hate it. I don't. I know a lot of people who do. But the only other thing that would have happened was the Fatal 4-Way. Drew versus Randy was not happening at Mania. Let's be real here. It wasn't happening. I don't hate it, though. So those are your 4 title matches. And then I think Drew versus Jacob is all but certain to happen. And I think Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio is all but certain to happen. So that is 6 matches for Mania. I think the minimum matches for Mania is 14. I think the maximum is probably 16. So 7 per night or 8 per night. I think they will probably need 8 matches per night. Because let's keep going. Ideally, on a 2-night WrestleMania, every title should be defended. So that means both IC titles, both US titles, the 3 tag titles should all be defended. It says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more matches right there. So in total, that is 13 matches for WrestleMania. And then you have Brock Lesnar. He's going to fight somebody. So that's 14 matches. Right there, that's your 7 per night. But there are still some problems. If there was a champion that wasn't going to defend their title at WrestleMania, I would say it's Julia, because they tend to not value her as a champion, which is really sad. She has not defended her title on any PLE so far. So I feel like if any title's being kept off the card, it's her. I could see a tag title be kept off the card. I wouldn't be shocked if Hayes is not on the card defending his US title. But that would be a travesty. I think Julia could be the odd woman out. I think everyone else could defend their titles. So let's run through it. AJ Lee, I think she'll fight Becky Lynch. I think that'll be a Mania match. Penta. I mean, after Raw, I have no clue what's going to happen with Penta. I might even put down El Grande versus El Grande as a Mania match. I think that's going to happen at WrestleMania. I would not be shocked if it happens, and I don't mind it either. So, in total, that's actually 15 matches that I have. If every champion defends their title, and you get Brock and El Grande, and Finn and Dom and Drew and Jacob, that's 15 matches already, right there. Let's keep going. Carmelo Hayes, who could he fight? Maybe Trick Williams. Maybe a fatal 4-way with Dragunov, Trick Williams. Maybe Tama Tonga, since he's been in the mix a little bit. Maybe something like that. I don't know. Penta, I mean, I thought one idea with Penta could have been a ladder match. Penta, Finn, Dom, Austin Theory, even LA Knight, and Sheamus, something like that, or Rusev. Just get people on the card. I thought maybe that was an option, but after what happened with Finn and Dom, it seems like that's going to be a one-on-one thing. Maybe the ladder match still happens without Finn and Dom, but who knows? Julia, if she fights anyone, Julia versus Io Sky would be a lot of fun. Will it happen? Probably not. Maybe Julia versus Kiana James. Maybe Julia versus Alexa Bliss. I mean, there's options. It's just what do they actually care to build? Might be nothing for Julia. MFTs defending their tag titles. I would love MFTs versus Wide 6 in a Anarchy in the Arena match. That's an AEW thing. It's essentially Falls Count Anywhere. You can go anywhere you want in the arena and just beat each other up. I think that would be the best way to end the feud between the MFTs and the Wide 6. It would fit for WrestleMania. Just Anarchy in the Arena, Falls Count Anywhere, Total Mayhem. I think that'd be a fun way to end the feud. Usos. It seems like they're going to fight Logan Paul and Austin Theory. It seems like it. I think they should be fighting an actual Raw tag team, but no Raw tag team has been built up, so I don't see that happening. So it's probably just going to be Division. If I was the booker, I would do, if Braun Breaker can't fight, I would do Logan versus Seth. I would do Brock Lesnar versus Obafemi, and I would do the Usos against an actual Raw tag team. We're probably at the point where the tag title should just be unified again because there's not enough attention put into either division. I don't know. Works for the women right now, but I think Usos versus Division will probably happen. Lash Legend and Nia Jax should probably defend their women's tag titles in probably a multi-women match. Charlotte, Alexa, Bella Twins, Kabuki Warriors. That's 3 teams right there. TLC maybe, something like that. I think that'd be fun. I said Brock Lesnar versus Obafemi. I would love that. I mean, when you talk about layups in wrestling, that is the biggest layup possible. Will it happen? I don't know. I want it to happen because I don't know what else Obafemi would even do. So I hope it's Brock Lesnar versus Obafemi. The other option would be Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar. I think if Braun Breaker is not available for WrestleMania, we definitely know Bronson Reed isn't available, but we're not sure about Braun Breaker. They're not doing Braun Breaker. I could easily see them pivot to Brock versus Seth. Corey Graves made a comment too when they announced Brock Lesnar would be on Raw next week. Corey said, I wonder what he thinks about Seth Rollins taking out Heyman. That is probably option B. But if you do Brock versus Seth, where does that leave Obafemi? I don't know. I would do Seth versus Logan. I think they could have a lot of fun with that. But I don't know. I mean, we've seen Brock versus Seth. We've seen Logan versus Seth. They're probably praying Braun Breaker's healthy enough, but I would do Logan Seth and have the Usos actually fight a legit tag team. El Grande versus El Grande could happen. Here are some notable wrestlers not confirmed for a match and their direction is unclear. Seth Rollins, he will get a match. It's whether it's between Brock Lesnar or Braun Breaker. I doubt it will be Logan Paul at this point. Seth will have a match though. LA Knight. I don't know what the plan is for LA Knight at all because all he's doing right now is beating up the Vision. He took Paul Heyman away in an ambulance, and then he helped the Usos beat up the Vision, which is Logan Paul and Austin Theory. Logan Paul and Austin Theory could be fighting the Usos, so where does that leave LA Knight? Do they do LA Knight versus Brock Lesnar, which was rumored a while back? I would hate it because I feel like LA Knight would lose. Maybe that's still their direction with Brock Lesnar. Maybe they want Seth versus Braun, LA Knight versus Brock, and the Usos versus Division. Not a big fan of LA Knight versus Brock Lesnar, unless LA Knight wins. But maybe I feel like that's the only option you got with LA Knight other than Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Oh God, we're screwed. I don't know what the plan is for LA Knight, which is a shame. Io Sky doesn't have a match. As well as Io Sky, Raquel Rodriguez doesn't have a match. I don't know what the plan is for either of them because I think AJ and Becky is a match. Maybe Raquel and Io fight. Just a normal match. Maybe Io jumps to SmackDown 2 to find a WrestleMania opportunity. Maybe she gets into the Julia mix. I would love to see Io Sky versus Julia. Maybe she goes to SmackDown permanently as well if she beats Julia. Maybe that happens. Because I don't know what else would happen with Io Sky. Because her ticket to Mania was with Rhea. And now Rhea is with Jade Cargill. Obafemi. If he's not fighting Brock Lesnar, I don't know who he's fighting that's relevant. Maybe he fights Penta for the IC title. It'd be random. Penta would probably lose, which would be sad, but I feel like that's in the cards at some point for Obafemi to win a mid-card title first. Because unless they're ready to push him to the moon. Trick Williams. They could do Trick Williams versus Sami Zayn. I didn't even write Sami Zayn on here, which I will right now. I could see them do Trick Williams versus Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn has a really interesting story arc with him kind of descending into madness a little bit. And I think losing to Trick Williams could be the final nail in the coffin for a very interesting post-Mania Sami Zayn. So I could see Sami Zayn versus Trick Williams at WrestleMania. I would not be opposed. Or Trick Williams goes in a Carmelo Hayes feud for the U.S. title. But Trick Williams should be on the card. Javon Evans is another peculiar one because he hasn't been pushed as strongly as Trick and Oba in terms of like, this guy's going to win something anytime soon. Maybe if there's a multi-man match for the IC title, Javon Evans is in it. If it's a multi-man ladder match, put Javon in it and let him cook. Other than that, I mean, they're kind of teasing something with him and Kofi, but that doesn't scream WrestleMania. IC title ladder match would fix that. Tiffany Stratton, I don't know what the plan is with her because it seemed like they could have had her fight Jade Cargill and pay off that feud. But that's obviously not happening. So who does she fight? Maybe Julia, U.S. title. That would be pretty relevant, I would say, if Tiffany Stratton wins the U.S. title. Be a great pivot. They're teasing like a little feud with her and Chelsea Green, but that's not Mania. It's just not. So Tiffany Stratton is in danger of missing the card too. But she has to be on the card. I would say Julia is her best route. And then there's Kiana James too. If I don't know with Julia, because they're not building anything with Julia. They just had Julia eat a pin against Charlotte. So you could easily have the U.S. title be a Mania match with some high-key stars like Tiffany Stratton and some up-and-comers like Julia in a multi-woman match, or Kiana James, I meant to say. But I just don't know what the plan is for them. Charlotte and Alexa, I could see them being in a multi-women tag match. That's kind of what they've been building to, so I could see Charlotte and Alexa in a multi-woman tag match with Nia and Lash, maybe the Kabukis, maybe the Bella Twins too, have yet to be on TV since their return. Logan Paul and Austin Theory, they're probably going to fight the Usos. Braun Breaker, I only put him down just because if he does return, he'll fight Seth Rollins. Ilya Dragunov. I feel like he should be on WrestleMania. I feel like he should be. He's done a lot of good work. Something with him and Carmelo Hayes. Maybe Tama Tonga. Well, if I have Anarchy in the Arena, Tama Tonga would be a part of that. Maybe something with Ilya in the U.S. title picture. I would not mind. Becky Lynch, I think she'll fight AJ Lee. Sami Zayn. That's about it in terms of people who aren't confirmed for a Mania match that should be on WrestleMania. I left off Natalya because we don't need her versus Maxine at Mania. We just don't. There could be other stars I missed. There could be. But those were the ones that came up to mind that need to be on the Mania card one way or another. I think every title should be defended at WrestleMania. I could see them not put Julia at WrestleMania, but I think they should. You at least got to try. If you're not trying, then it's never going to work out. So give me Julia at WrestleMania. Other than that, though, that'll do it. So those are my thoughts of everything happening in WWE or the past Monday Night Raw episode and what it looks like it's going to be going towards WrestleMania. Might have another episode next week that's separate, though. I think Under the Lights is returning next week. We are officially back from our break starting next week. We'll predict March Madness. There will be a lot happening, especially on the Final Verdict, too. So follow that as well. Follow our social medias, our Instagram, our Twitter /X, our TikTok, our Facebook, our YouTube. Find all of those in the link tree in the link in bio. But other than that, thank you all for listening to this episode. I'm John Dodaro. Have a great day, everybody, and see you next time on Inside the Dome.